Alright, today we're looking at a HkPilot Mega 2.7 from Hobbyking, obviously. Hobbyking. So this came in the post, Australia Post. And interesting thing is I paid for express mail service, yet once it gets to Australia it goes into the standard stream. Not a big deal, that's still pretty quick, but we'll have a look inside. This air bubbles that Hobbyking knows so love, bubble wrap, lots and lots of bubble wrap. Needed a new cord for my fat sharks, so we got one of them. Servo things, had to fill up that little extra weight, another cord, and so we get two box in a box. Now, another interesting thing to know is this sticker was originally over this, so you couldn't see it, but it's done by Hollybro. Hollybro. I'm not sure how you meant to pronounce that, but it was an interesting thing to note. Must be the maybe the OEM that does this kit. So if we open her up, you'll see everything's nice, packaged individually, which is, you know, good. Got lots of different cords. Okay, the micro USB to USB, which a good thing to note is this board has USB built in. Micro USB to micro USB, which I am assuming is for the telemetry. Nice little plastic case, the whole main board goes in. It's pretty tough, pretty sturdy. I don't think you'll smash it in a hurry. Here's the GPS, so this kit contains the LEA 6, so LEA is the higher line, 6 is the 6 series, there is now 7, but for any of the APM stuff, there's no point going to the 7th gen stuff because we can't, the APM based on the 18 mega processor still can't handle 10 Hz GPS data anyway. So this is only 5 Hz, 5 times a second you get position. New ones are 10. If you're getting a Pixel or another 32-bit based one, go with the 10 Hz. If not, you might as well save the money and stick with the 5. And we've got our minimum OSD, so it should give us all our fun stuff. We'll probably change the firmware on that to something a bit better later on. See how we go. And as you can see, it comes with all the cords and everything already done up. Hopefully they're all correct, but make sure you triple check everything when you do it, because it would suck to have it wrong. And as you can see, this has already got the wiring harness for having both the telemetry and the OSD at the same time, so you don't have to make your own up. Now we've got the telemetry, 2 aerials, 2 transceivers, all good, and a cord, in case you're just using telemetry and no OSD. Just knock that off. You'll notice it comes with the aerials already. This is a 915 megahertz kit because I use 433 megahertz or UHF for control. We don't want unnecessary issues. Here is the actual APM, which, you know, looks pretty good. Everything's packaged up. I'll pull it out in a second and we can have a look. Just from looking on the back, the solder joints look all quite good, not too messy for a clone, that's for sure. And here we've got the current sensor, and which has a 5-volt power supply as well, and voltage sensor. A good thing to note is how much better this is than the old HK current sensor for the APM platform, which was quite dodgy looking, to say the least. But it did work. It's just a resistor, and all it did was sense current, but you know, it worked, I suppose. So let's open this up and we'll have a bit better of a look, and I'll go through a bit of the wiring so you get the idea. Now all these are actually like the little resealable ends on them, which is nice, means you can use them for other stuff if you want. See, it comes with your male-to-male cords, which is always helpful. So here you go, you can see all your pins brought out, all that sort of stuff. Bit of a residue on the back. Don't know why, I imagine it just hasn't been cleaned up. A little bit of alcohol would probably fix that up, but wouldn't say it's anything to worry about. You can see that everything looks all right. Nothing that sticks out as a dodgy job. So, as I was saying, this side we've got inputs. So there's 2, 4, 6, 8 different inputs. So that'll take your 8 channels from your receiver. So you'll use these little cords that come with it. Remember, the standard is pretty much always white, which is signal goes to the inside of the board, just because it makes it easiest when you're designing a board to have it that way. So that's how they all are. They're pretty self-explanatory. You can use a thing called PPM, which is pulse phase modulation. So you can then have all your channels, instead of having 8 cords, you just have 1 go from your receiver to the board, and then that 1 cord carries all the channels that the receiver has, which means you can have more than 8, which is always can be helpful. But you have to have a compatible receiver for that. So most of them now do. I know the FR Sky, however you pronounce that, does. I know the pretty much all the UHF, Open LRS, the orange Hobbyking version of Open LRS hardware, things like RangeLink, Easy UHF, they all have PPM out by default. So this side, across here, you'll notice everything's labelled on the back, which is very, very nice. You've got different inputs for sensors, so analog inputs these are, A0, 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 11, which basically just hooks straight into your analog input pins on the processor there. There's nothing too exciting about that. Down here we've got the outputs, so depending on whether you're going with a multi-rotor or like a plane or car or whatever you're putting this on, this will go out to your things that are controlled. So for example, I'm going to be putting this one on a plane, which these will go out to one for the motor, or the plane actually has 2 motors, so one will branch out to those 2 motors, and you'll have one for the ailerons, elevator, rudder. If you've got anything else, you can pass them straight through, or you can bypass this. Mainly the only time you're going to use more of your outputs than your normal 4 for a 4-channel plane is if you've got a hexacopter or octocopter. And if you've got a hexacopter or octocopter, you should be getting a Pixhawk over this, something with a bit more grunt, but yeah, that's your decision if you want to save a little bit of money for the lower performance. For planes, however, and quadcopters and tricopters and bicopters and normal helicopters and cars and whatever else you want to put this on, the APM, or the 8-bit 18 mega based HkPilot, is still a good bet. I went with it because I'm a bit cheap and it's nice to get it all in a kit ready to go. Yeah, so the board's pretty good in that it's quite explanatory. It's got, you know, which way is front, X, Y, Z, all marked. You've got all your other pins marked, so you've got MISO, yeah, so GPS, this one, which is also marked on the front, a lot of them. So this one's UART, OSD, I2C. This one doesn't really say, I imagine it says on the other side. Richard does. PWR, M&R. I'm not sure what that is, but everything you can find on the plane.rgcopter.com I'm sorry, plane.rgplane website, or yeah, which pretty much has everything you need to know on it. Good thing about the Hobbyking board is they have done a few little improvements. Most of them aren't, that noteworthy, but good thing to point out is the jumpers they've put in, especially for the onboard magnometer. So unlike the 2.6 from the legitimate from, I can't remember the name of the company, which is real good, which is just a 2.5, but they don't populate the magnometer port, which saves them a bit of money. Doesn't save you any money, but I suppose it increases their bottom line, so that's always fun. They've actually included a jumper, so if you're using like the LEA 6R, and the Neo as well comes in a version with the onboard GPS. So you've got a magnometer or compass onboard your GPS. You can just pull off that jumper instead of having to cut a trace, which used to be the way to do it, which, yeah, nobody likes to do that. So yeah, you just have to pull off one of these jumpers. This one here, see? EX mag, external magnometer, and you just, away you go. I'm not sure which jumper it is, but I'm sure there's plenty of docos on the Hobbyking website or somewhere. So yeah, everything plugs in pretty simply. The nice thing is it actually comes with all the cords needed. So these here will just plug straight in and go straight across to your receiver. Straight across. So if you're using PPM, you'll just have like that on, not on this channel though. I can't remember off the top of my head which channel it is. You just have the one. If you're using something else, say, I know a bloke on the forum was mentioning he uses a orange receiver by Hobbyking for Spectrum radio. You can get, say, 4 channels by doing that. So you'll put this one in the normal way, and that will go across all the signal ones, because you only need to get ground and power once, and the signal you can just bring across for all the other ones, so then you still only use 2. Or you can go, which they've included enough leads for, which is nice, straight across like this, 1 for each channel you're going to use, plug them straight into your receiver as you would a servo or ESC, which is all nice. Then you've got all your other little bits which you can hook in. So yes, how about we have a look at our case while we're at it and see how that fits and check that it actually is right. I know there was mention on the Hobbyking website that the daily video mentioned that you should probably not pay 100% attention to what's written on the plastic case, but let's have a look and see if you were somebody who did just like to read what was written there, because you're a normal person. So thing to note is servo leads don't fit through when they're plugged in, it turns out. So got your holes, comes with the screws here. I'm not going to screw them in right now. For some reason I only have 3 screws, whilst there are holes for 4. Not that big of an issue, but I suppose it is an issue. So, yeah. Oh, seems pretty nice. Clips on. A little bit of fiddling to get it to all line up like it is almost. It seems to be caught on something. I thought I was talking about how good it is they include this case earlier. Yeah, imagine how good it would be if it actually fitted. Probably need to increase their clearances on these plugs, I think. It looks like here's your issue for these I2C. It doesn't actually quite fit in that hole. So, okay. my only 3 included screws, it's not going to matter. I'll just leave that one how it is. But if one of you people are lucky enough to actually get 4 screws for your 4 holes, well, you might have to do a little bit of modding. But still, I'll definitely be using this because I like to have it all covered up. I'll just go through quickly how roughly everything's meant to be plugged in. Cut these open. So we've got everything cut out. Try and take most of this stuff out. Maybe not all at once, so I don't get too many cords mixed up, although it shouldn't be too bad. Now it's worthwhile pointing out that you don't actually have to use all of these sensors. You can just buy the board by itself and it'll work fine for a pretty darn advanced multi-rotor stabilizer, like a Super KK2 or a better than a NASA without the GPS. Or if you just want GPS and you're not an FPV bloke like me, you don't want this, you don't want this, you don't want this, don't buy them. Just buy what you need. I pretty much wanted all this anyway. Wasn't too keen on the telemetry, but you know, I'll be happy to have it, I'm sure, at some point. Here's our little GPS. Comes with a mounting thing. Interesting, it's a carbon fibre rod, by the looks of it. Used for mounting it, which, you know, can muck up your receiver for control or your FPV link, but you know, if you don't have to use that if you don't want to. It's up to you. I'm not actually sure how this is meant to stay onto there, but probably be hot gluing it, as I seem to hot glue everything. Yes, so that's what it's meant to be, but don't know what didn't. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, and you've got an end so you can bolt it straight into a platform, which would be real good for a multi-rotor. Since this is going on a plane, I think I'll just be mounting it out on the wing, and I might even take off this plastic hard case if I get excited enough and decide I need that little extra weight saving. Probably not, but it's nice to think that I might. So you can see we've got here our GPS and external compass. So a good smart thing they've done is they're actually different plugs, so you can't get them round the wrong way. Like this one's only got 2 wires, obviously 2 pins are used, even though it's a 4-pin plug. This has only got 4 wires, even though it's a 5-pin plug, which means you can't stick the GPS in the external magnemeter port, which is a good move because it's not particularly clear what that's talking about. So we can just pop that straight in, pop this straight in, and you might need a little assistance with something to push these in, since it's a bit fiddly with the case on. Probably do it without the case on would be a smart move, but you know, sometimes I'm not a smart man. So that's all you have to do for the GPS, which is very nice. I like that very much. Everything else pretty much plugs in the same. Just follow the spots that are marked. So some of them aren't marked on the case at all, which sucks. You might have to pull it off and have a look. PM, I'm still not 100% sure what PM is. Power, maybe? Yeah, I'm gonna say power, because I don't know what else it could be. I can get this board back out, which it is a tight fit. Tight like a tiger. yeah, so that's just another UART port, so I'm gonna say that must be 4 hour, which agrees with the schematics, so it must be the go. Be nice if I could open this today, but in 50 years time. Comes heat shrink, which is nice. Everything actually, everything except the minimum OSD comes in either a case or heat shrinked, which is good. Oh, wiring harness is already done up. Not color coded at all, which sucks, but it's got the 5-volt mark, so that's helpful. Oh yes, we have our other pins marked too, which is nice. If you wanted to take some straight off the back of the board there, you've got some pads to solder onto. The good thing is these plugs also can only go in one way. Well, should be able to. You can see these little bits that stick out. They go in the bottom there, which is good. So you just get that in, bit tight fit with the heat shrink, but that's probably a good thing more than a bad thing. Make sure it goes all the way in, which I don't think it will. So there we go. In we go. And your other end would just go into your power management port, which is right there. So it's worth pointing out that when you put these in the right way, they actually lock in, and the tops you can see where the little connecting pins are inside these goes to the cutout on the connector. So go in, and this end would plug straight into your battery. If you don't like XT60 plugs, well, sorry. Have to cut them off and put your own on, although all my stuff's XT60 and I do not have a problem with it. I certainly prefer it over the old T connectors that I used to use. So that would all be ready to go as well. You may have to calibrate this. That's all up on the plain.HkPilot website, so you can go on there and look it out, how to calibrate, but I think it'll be probably close enough to start with. We'll see how bad it is after running a few batteries through it. You've got all your other stuff too. You can, like I said earlier, use these two at the same time. I'm not going to go through that because that's a bit more specialist, but also it's just the same deal. Plug it in, like it's not rocket science, guys. Plug it in, especially since it's all printed on there. Now, one thing is you will have to use Mission Planner to set this up. Not you should or you could, you have to. This isn't plug and play, no matter how much you want it to be. So that's what that cable's for. Plugs in here, a USB port, other end into your computer, and away you go. I'll probably do another video on that if need be. So thanks guys, like and all that sort of stuff. See ya.